on. Hey, y'all.
Hi.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy Sweet 16 to us. This is episode number 16.
Woohoo! We are so sweet, aren't we?
Sometimes.
We are. And happy, thankful the GH. Woohoo!
And look, the special part, our name's on it. Oh, wait. I see my screen is mirroring, so you can't really see, but
yeah,
our name's on it.
Our names are on it. Yeah.
So, we know that Sunny imports coffee. We were also having other conversations about what else Sunny's business did. Sandra, what was the thing? I mean, I think he hawks fake purses. What was the thing that you thought he did?
Oh, shit. Well, fake purses has also been a theory of mine for a long time. I had a really good edible moment where I was like, I figured it all out, but I don't remember.
Corinthos Coffee selling NFTs. Like, we're just...
Why can't he do edibles?
Mm.
No, they're in New York. It's not legal there, right?
I don't know. I just know the blessing that it's California, where it is legal.
Exactly.
Well, how was your holidays other than getting these amazing gifts? How was your holidays?
I was pretty much relaxed. Well, I worked a little bit up until I think Friday. And other than that, pretty relaxed and just chilling at my place. Talked to the family over the phone. Got some great cookbooks from my brother who has a sense of humor. Sent me a cookbook from Snoop Dogg and T-Pain and Disneyland. So
I like it.
Yes, it was great. Oh, and then I went bike riding. So I went bike riding and looking for Christmas lights around the city in San Leandro and Berkeley. So awesome.
I don't know when you found time to do it when it wasn't raining, because
Well, yeah, I only did 3 days worth. So that's pretty much all I could do.
Well, as you know, Tracey, I made fried chicken. Yes. And spent Christmas with the Roys.
With the who?
The Roys.
From Succession.
We binge watched all of Succession.
Oh, okay.
Woo, all 3 seasons.
I'm really upset that my therapist took this week off because I have some things I need to process with her.
About this show. I feel you. I also
about the show. Okay.
Our hospital show could borrow a little bit from Succession.
Could borrow a lot of it, but
the Quartermains or all of them. Cassadines. Which one are they most like?
Cassadines.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. The Quartermains wish.
Yeah.
So y'all ready to get into the week? We're also going to do just a little bit. I mean, since it's the last episode of the year, we'll also do a little bit of a year kind of wrap up about favorite storylines from the year. But y'all ready? Yep. Here we go. Weekly recap. So first, I want to shout out to @SprinaNation on Twitter. If you listen to us, you should follow them for all things Sprina. They just did #SprinaMoss, which was a very cute celebration of our ship throughout the week. So, okay. This week begins with Victor Cassadine Sheffield visiting Spencer at Kelly's. Spencer is surprised to see him because he thought Kelly's might be below him. He also half-jokingly questions whether Valentin is actually Victor's son. Spencer says that he is done with Nicholas and admits that stalking Ava might have gone too far. It could land him in jail. But great Uncle Victor says that he can pull some strings and help Spencer through his legal woes. He also says that he can help Spencer and Esme with their living arrangements by moving them from Laura and Kevin's to the Metro Court, which I guess Carly is going to let them in this time around, ? Anyway, Spencer says he'll talk it over with Esme. Outside of Kelly's, Victor meets with Laura's deputy and finds out Laura is coming home. We also find out the connection there. We also find out the attempt on Laura and Martin was at Victor's hands. Great Uncle Victor continues to make his way through Port Charles, next heading to Charlie's and running into Ava, #Viva. They share the cleanest of dirty martinis I've ever seen when Victor encourages Ava to look past what Spencer has done and chalk it up to his Cassadine DNA, to which Ava told him that Spencer took it too far when he involved Avery, which I have thoughts. And Ava also calls out Victor for taking care of Hayden and her mother. She's about to leave for the tree lighting when Victor insists on walking over with her. Laura visits Cyrus in jail, which has become an instant classic brother-sister scene where he tells her he found God and she laughs in his face. What a moment. He does warn her that he is not the person after her and Martin. At the hospital, shockingly on our hospital show, we see the hospital. Spencer, Esme, and Cam are elves who were recruited by Lucy. Kevin is dressed up to play Santa when his boo Laura walks in and surprises him. Cam and Spencer are obviously excited to see her and have her back. Laura swaps out Kevin for Martin so they can have alone time to reconnect. Lucy, who can always count on her to be peak Lucy, sits on Santa's lap thinking it's Kevin, but goes with it when she finds out it's Martin, and they eventually hook up because, you know, the 50 pluses on the show getting in. And it also reminded me of his Tad the Cad roots. Shout out to our AMC fans. Before sitting on Santa's lap, Lucy sends the elves off to get cookies. When they arrive, they see Trina talking to Nicholas. So earlier, Nicholas approached Trina, who clearly did not want to be bothered, to ask her opinion about a Christmas gift for Ava. Trina gives her opinion and follows up and basically asks Nicholas why he is such a trash dad. Cameron keeps it moving, walks into Kelly's, and runs into Drew and Elizabeth. Speaking of Driz, they are giving me Hallmark Christmas movie realness, and I liked it. They talk about grief and looking forward, and while there were definite sparks between them, it looks like this conversation and the following one with Liz and Cameron will lead her towards a sparkless relationship with Finn. Characters that do still have that spark though, Anna and Finn. Anna meets Violet for tea at the Metro Court and ends up having a conversation with Finn about their respective love lives, with Anna pushing Finn towards Elizabeth and Finn pushing Anna towards Valentine. At Rice Plaza, where several of our faves and one or two of our non-faves gathered to watch the Christmas tree lighting, Great Uncle Victor drops the news on Spencer that he got him a deal that includes restitution, community service, and 30 days in camp prison. Spencer is upset about any jail time, but everyone reminds him that it could be worse. While we wondered how Trina was going to be convinced to go on this teen trip, we see it will be used as a send-off for Spencer. Esme popped up at Cam's house and talked with him and Josh, convincing Josh to ask Sonny about the cabin. Spencer introduces Trina to Great Uncle Victor, and we get a very, very sweet Sabrina scene that I'm sure we will dive into later in the episode. Somehow, grieving Liam has become about the Corinthos and company. Carly and Michael share a scene talking about his birth, while Chase comforts Willow at the Q Mansion as Brooklyn looks on. Sunny is talking to Phyllis when Nina shows up. Nina has what I found to be probably the dumbest thought process of the week, where she said she knew Mike wouldn't take a life, but she didn't know about Sunny when talking about Peter. Didn't Nina send Liesl to take Peter's life? Anyway, I digress. After Sunny leaves for what I assume will be the last Karsten Christmas in a while, Phyllis asks Nina if she's still in love with Mike, aka Sunny. As Sasha leaves the hospital, where she is discharged to Brando's house, which she makes clear she will only be staying at for the night, Gladys doesn't tell them, but she brings Brasha to the Corinthos home for their Christmas gathering. Sunny and Carly tell Sasha she's family now. Brasha tell each other they love each other under the stars. Other Christmas celebrations include Sam's family giving our children all of the loudest toys they could find. But we also find out that Sean bought the Invader. Scout brings Drew a hot pink scarf that he wears very proudly. And BLQ and Chase bring Bailey to spend the holidays with Maxie. With Laura back, we have a renewed focus on the Cassadines, especially what Nicholas and Victor have been up to. The rest of the week focuses on the beginning of Nina's trial. Lisa will tell Scott that she thinks Sunny and Nina were in love and that Willow knows about it. Scott wants to use that information on the stand, but Lisa warns because Carly is crazy. We end the week with Scott putting Willow on the stand, and there's already a promo that has dropped showing a little bit of that for next week. And that's our week, our little short week this week. What do y'all think? What were some of your favorite moments?
Oh, go ahead, Sandra. Okay, well, I'll go. I had a couple of favorite moments. I liked, and I'm gonna save the best one that I liked for last. I love the moment, and I may be the only one, but I loved when Brasha was able to go to Family Corinthos and be able to grieve together. At first I thought it was a little presumptuous of Sunny to tell, Gladys to hijack them. And I was just like, they want to be alone. Leave them alone. Why force them to spend Christmas with you? I'm one of those people that kind of grew up in a smaller family. And so when I don't spend Christmas with a bunch of people, it's not necessarily a sad thing for me. But when Sunny did that, I was just like, that's very intrusive of you to force them to spend time with you when they're in a grieving mode. But when Carly was like to Sasha, I know we heard you think you don't have a family, you're wrong. I cried. I was like, oh, that was so bad. So it ended up being, at first I was just annoyed, but secondly, it was just ended up being a very great moment. And then I love the I love yous between Brasha. So that was great. Another favorite moment I think that I liked was Liesl being messy. So it reminded me of when she spread the news at Anna's wedding about Peter. And so I was like, oh my God, is she going to spill the beans about Sunny and Nina? All that. So I loved her being messy. I love her being involved in the outing of Sunny and Nina. However it turns out, I just loved it. So it was like some of my favorite lines. And then I will save my most favorite moment for my standout performance of the week.
Yeah, I think my overall the week, I loved it. I thought it was a really great week. I liked the holiday, the emphasis on the holidays and actual like happy, if not some bittersweet holiday moments like were happening at the Corinthos house. I did note over and over again to myself, Carson's last Christmas. Hope y'all enjoy, because it's going to be all misery after this. So I appreciated both the shift in tone from last week, which was and then I also appreciated that this week was so much more about news story and showing us what's in store for us in 2022, which already feels so much better than most of what we've experienced in 2021. And I will say my favorite moment, this was both like hard because I think there was actually so many great moments this week, but I'm going to have to go with Sprina. I'm going to have to go with Sprina at Kelly's. And I had to really check in with myself. Like, am I really just going to be that predictable? And yes, I am, because I have predictably amazing taste. So I think we've all been waiting for actually Sprina to have a scene at Kelly's with Spencer working there. So I think that was a really important moment. And that it also represents like a shift in the dynamic between the two of them. First of all, like Trina actually getting to witness Spencer working, but also her going from reading Spencer, which is what we've been seeing for the last couple of months, and deservedly so, to teasing him a little bit more like lightheartedly at the beginning when she's like, just so you know, I'm not here for you. And like, yes, I do think you're a little privileged, baby. And we actually get to see her comforting him and being a really generous, kind friend. very good friend, as Spencer refers to her, to introducing her to Uncle Victor, which, by the way, he has not done with Esme. And just also the body language and the eye contact between the two of them that has been dissected to a very precise degree by the Sprina fans. There's great analysis out there and GIFs. Definitely check out the hashtag if you're not usually a Sprina hashtag lurker. But yeah, I really appreciated that shift in tone between them, the way that they're forecasting movement in their relationship, and that Esme got to witness it all. And that that moment where they're holding hands and then you zoom up and you see Esme doing her crazy Esme face. I loved it. It was so good. I think Avery Pohl also, shout out to her. She did a great job. And those last small moments, the triangulation that was happening between them, where like she's just trying desperately to keep Spencer's attention and he just keeps disrespectfully just eating Trina up with his eyes, but also Trina returning a lot of his gaze. So I just loved it. So, no surprises there. What about you, Tracey?
I mean, I obviously loved Sprina. I knew you were going to talk about it, so I figured I would talk about something else I loved, which is this allowing of the kind of like 50 pluses on the show to like get it in. And actually, I wish that they would allow some of the younger people to have some of that kind of heat too. But like Laura and Kevin, I mean, love Laura and Kevin. Surprisingly loved Lucy and Tad. I mean, Martin. Yeah, just like really good, fun energy. I think that, you know, this week and next week are weeks that we're going to see, and I wish the GH did a little bit more of this, but that we see people like come back to the show because like you're at home with your family and people are off work and they're like, oh, this is on. And so to like, you know, turn on your TV if you haven't watched it for a long time and be able to see Lucy and Martin, like be able to see Lucy, be able to see Kevin, be able to see Laura, like that provides some continuity for people who haven't watched it in a long time, while also being like, I wonder what this Sprina is about. So I just appreciated them not like turning people like pious once they get like a certain age. They're like, oh no, this is like, these people are in their prime and we're gonna show you that they're in their prime. And I love that. Tonya, I am curious, who did you give your standout performance of the week to? I'm ready for it.
Well, it should be no surprise, man. That scene with Laura and Cyrus, hilarious. It was like the funniest thing I've ever seen before. And it was just straight comedy. It wasn't what I expected from Cyrus to find Jesus and use that angle. Because he, you know, I don't know, he seems somewhat of a serious evil guy, and to be like, okay, I found Jesus now and you need to believe in me, was hilarious and so unexpected. And I think actually Jeff Colbert is actually a really spiritual person in real life. And so it actually, you know, it was funny. It was great that he was able to bring that kind of aspect to work, but it was totally unbelievable that Cyrus really did find God. And that's what made it funny. And the fact that, especially the telling line for me was, you know, him kind of conveying to Laura, like, you believing that I have found Jesus is how you can actually find Jesus yourself or be saved, quote unquote saved, as if you believe in me believing in God. And that's not how it works. But anyway, he's like, he insists that he didn't try to kill her. And I guess Laura believes that. And we know it to be true, the audience. But it was just, you know, all of it was funny. And you know, Laura's response, I mean, as people on social media have seen that meme all over now, Laura just laughing out loud, just not believing him. And so that, you know, part of it goes to the strength of both actors who are just wonderful, who are a delight, and we are so blessed to have. But just knowing their characters and knowing the history, it was gold, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm thankful that the writers gave that to us because it was great. So yeah, shout out to Jeannie Francis and Jeff Kober for that. For me, that was the highlight of my week.
Yeah, they were so good. They looked like they were having a ball together. Even I loved when Laura was like cracking up and Cyrus like it was, because he could have played that like a couple different ways. He could have been like stoic, like I can't believe she's laughing at me. But the fact that he like laughed with her was just, it's like these are two veteran actors who can do anything, and I loved it. I loved it. I thought they were so funny, so good, and provided, to Sandra's point, like such a good going into this week coming off of last week.
Yeah. I mean, this was actually the scene I felt most torn about what my favorite moment was going to be. Because I loved it. I watched it multiple times. I could watch Jeannie and Jeff like literally do anything like all day and I would be amused. But this scene was like, out of all their many, many wonderful scenes, absolutely one of my favorites and one of my favorite performances of the year. So definitely. And I think actually that kind of is a good transition to what I want to see more of on the show, which is Laura and her brothers. I mean, I love, of course, Cassadines are my favorite family. I also think about Laura kind of grouped in there, even though she's not a Cassadine. She is as mixed up in the Cassadine family history as anyone is. And of course has a Cassadine child, but getting to see Laura interact with family members who are also like on her level is so special. Like, it's not just Laura being a mom, which we don't get to see that much of now that, Lulu and Lucky are both off the canvas. We mostly see her interacting with Nicholas, which, is definitely not her being with someone on her level on so many different ways, especially in terms of acting, just to be clear. And what I love that scene between Laura and Cyrus. It was an absolute masterclass, funny, menacing, both of them in their own way, and so entertaining. And it also shows that like, you don't have to be melodramatic to churn out one of the best performances of the year. Like they really there was so much subtlety there. There was so much like, that the thing about Cyrus is that he always tells like just enough of the truth to make you question yourself and like what you believe about him, about what's happening. And so like, we know that he didn't, right? He didn't order the hit on Laura and Martin, but how much of what else he is saying is actually true. And so I love his character. I'm always like, bring him back. I want free Cyrus. I want him out of that random Midwestern prison and back in Port Charles. But also like, I love the relationship with Martin and how easily they've kind of stepped into this sibling dynamic. I loved her reaction to him hooking up with Lucy. And I also just love having Martin in there in general. And I think to your point, Tracey, I think that there's also something about coming home, even though like Martin is a new character on GH. He's not new to soaps, and he's not new to ABC soaps in particular. So it had me thinking like, oh, if I was watching GH with my family, which I do, like I'll make them watch GH with me, even though they don't watch it anymore. And I could just see my dad in particular being like, that's Tad. That's Tad the cat. And like him and my mom being like, oh, remember when Tad did this and Tad do that? So I think that's like a really good use of Michael E. Knight. And I just want to see more of him. So I want to see all of Laura, like more Laura and her brothers, and also more of her brothers in general.
Yeah, I love that. I echo everything you said. I love Laura and her brothers. I love seeing Laura You kind of alluded to it, but I don't like seeing her act with Marcus. Like he's just not on her level. And so it kind of, I mean, it's a lot of heavy lifting for her. And so to see her be free and to be able to have a give and take instead of just like a give is like really, I think, important. And it like goes into a little bit what I want to see more relationships like with the chemistry that is necessary to move them. Cameron Matheson, aka Drew Lavery, is just sprinkling his chemistry all around town. Okay. Every interaction he's had, every scene he's had, you're like, oh, okay. Even when he was with BLQ, I'm like, Cameron, that's your cousin. Okay. Stop with the inappropriate chemistry here. Like, it's fine. We got you. You could be with Sam, you could be with Liz, you probably could be with Carly. Like, everybody knows you got that Hallmark swag and you could be anywhere. We get you. But like seeing to my point earlier during the recap, seeing Finn and Anna's like chemistry, and like they don't have to be together, but like it's just so easy for them. Like he lit up when he was with her. I think the same thing with Chase and Willow. Like I think that Chase and Willow are both, I think Milo and Chillo are both the kind of like couples that you'd find at church. But I think I would be more invested in a church couple of Chillo than I would with Milo. Like I don't think they have it. And I think that the relationship and what we saw with like Chase comforting her, like really showed that like Michael and Willow don't have the same thing that Chase and Willow do. I don't know if folks watched the Friday episode, which was like a rerun. So it was like from Valentine's Day. It was right after everybody kind of found out like what Sasha and Chase had done and like what they sacrificed for Wiley and all of that. And so Michael was like trying to see if there was something again with Sasha, and Chase and Willow were going out. And it was clear that there was nothing there anymore with Sasha and Michael, but like it was not clear for that with Chase and Willow. It never has been. And even though like they were trying to convince us that that Willow was in love with Michael, there's an ease that she has with Chase that she just doesn't have with him. And so what I want to see is just like more like understanding whether couples work or not, and then pivoting as such. You're telling me that like this chemistry filled scene with like Elizabeth and Drew was supposed to lead me to want Elizabeth with Finn? You want me to believe that Anna is propping up Finn and Elizabeth? That doesn't even. So I wasn't a fan of it. And aside, and then I'll pass it to you, Tonya. People got really mad at our Twitter because I said something along the lines like, if they're trying to make like Milo and Shalyn work, or like if they're trying to make them be a thing, then they should stop like swapping them. Like, so we shouldn't see Chase and Willow together, whatever. And people were like, why are you lying? Milo is already a couple. I was like, this is colloquial. Like, I mean, like a thing. Not like that they're not an official couple, but like they're definitely not one people root for. Check that Milo hashtag and see what happens. Because like people don't love it. People don't love it. So anyway, I found that to be pretty funny. With like, oh wow, we got Twitter canceled, kinda. Sorry, y'all.
I'm happy for us to be Twitter canceled by Miller and fans. That's fine. I'm not too worried about it.
Well, so. You room temperature mist. Room temperature mist.
You always have my blessing to put us in the crossfire of that room temperature mist.
Yeah. Tonya, what about you?
Yeah, that was what Sandra said was what I want to see more of. I want to see more of Martin on screen. I loved having him having a relationship with Lucy. I thought that storyline was also fun. That they kind of set it up a little bit, like they've been watching each other and they knew each other's kind of background. And so I like that little somewhat conflict where, Lucy Lucy was worried that Laura wouldn't approve, that kind of thing. And how she still kind of semi-flirts with Kevin. At the same time, I'm like, stop calling him Doc, because that was your nickname when they were together. So you need to stop doing that. But So I want Martin to have more of a story, because I know there was a big fear of mine that they were going to kill him off or he was going to go away. And so having him be on canvas and having a love story and all that was awesome. And I hope they integrate him more, you know, especially since Alexis is not trying to be a lawyer anymore. They do need another lawyer on the scene, as well, you know, to mix it up with Scott. So I'm hoping that he definitely stays for the long haul and they give him more a reason to be there. So I'm really happy to see that, especially because, you know, Michael Unite and Jeannie Francis work so well together. I love seeing them in that brother sister mode. So that's what, you know, I want to see more of.
I would also say they Martin, because they're like real like besties in real life. He works really well with James Patrick Stewart as well. Like that Valentine Martin dynamic is like very funny, and it provides like that thing that soaps need, which is like it doesn't always have to push forward the story, but it could like give us like roots in relationships that we like.
Yeah, I think Martin is the only guy friend that Valentine has. So that's good. So I do want to see that flourish. So yeah.
Damn, that is his only guy friend.
Yeah.
Slash right of his only friend, because that was his only other friend, and you know, Martin's like his only friend that he's not in love with.
Right. Like I think Valentine and Austin kind of interact, but they're not friends. He doesn't confide in him about, you know,
or like that was like an alliance.
That was it was just random, but no. So yay, we need a hashtag for Valentine and Marvin. No, Marva. Marvel.
Martini.
Dirty are the ones that they served to Victor and Ava, because those were not dirty martinis. No. So I want to see less of that. I want to see less of y'all pretending like that clean ass martini was dirty. And but just like go into like what we want to see less of. I want them to wrap up everything that has anything to do with Nixon Falls. Wrap it up, B. Wrap it up. We're done here. Nobody would ever accuse me of being a Nina fan. I'm absolutely not. And I'm ready for Nina and Sonny to be together. I'm ready for Carly to go scorched the fuck earth when she finds out. I want it, and I'm gonna be disappointed if that's not the angle that they're going with them. I know that they had to like, you know, change things around once there was no Jason to like, because I think that like what we probably will be seeing is like, if there was still Steve Burton, is like these like glances between them and like kind of a couple swap thing going on. But because we don't have that, it's actually pretty painful to like watch Sonny lie this way. So I get people are rooting for Sonny and Nina. My agenda ship is like, go ahead and be together. I'm tired of like them having Carly play the fool, and I want Caroline Benson back. I've always been a Carly fan because she's been so messy. And all what they got her doing now is not Carly. Like, oh, I'm gonna just chill out because Sonny asked me to. Since when has Carly ever chilled out because Sonny asked her to? That's not who Carly is. And so that's the Carly I like. And so once we wrap up all this shit that has something to do with Nixon Falls, we can maybe get there. I'll also say, I want them to quit using Phyllis the way they do. Like, either give her like to just prop Sona to just be like the magical Negro who was like giving Sonny and Phyllis or Sonny and Nina advice. Is that why y'all bought her a barn? So she can like be your therapist? Right. No, y'all too rich for that. Go get real therapy. So that's what I want to see less of. Anything that has anything to do with Nixon Falls, let's wrap it up and move to the next piece of that. Tonya, what do you want to see less of?
I want to see less of mourning Jason. I'm sick of it.
Oh, yes.
That scene, I think the scene with Monica and Danny was cute. What I didn't need to see was a photo of Jason as they move away. That wasn't necessary. I don't want to see that. I'm done with it. And then them propping him up as a hero. He wasn't a hero. I don't think. Not in the true traditional sense. Yes, he ran and saved people's lives, fine. But he was also a mobster. He's not somebody that little kids should be looking up to. And so not a monster, but he was, I guess an enforcer. He killed people for a living. That was his job. So to prop him up as like he's a hero, or I want you to be like him, and Drew saying I want to live my life for him, no. So that needs to stop. That needs to end. I'm over it. Maybe have Carly do it because they were best friends. That's fine. But the rest of the town, let's stop. Yeah. I definitely want to see less of. I have a rant on that, so I don't want to see that anymore.
I 100% agree.
Here on everything that y'all have said. Check. We are in complete agreement about what we want to see less of. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with Marcus Coloma. I know I hate to be a broken record, except for in this instance. He just, I don't have anything new to say about why. I don't think. It's more just like he's giving the exact same face in literally every scene he's in, and he's giving his screen partners absolutely nothing. Like I had seen in the spoilers that he was going to have this scene with Trina that he had last week, and I was like, stop using Sydney Michaela this way. Stop using her to prop up this man. I did appreciate how Trina has shifted in interacting with Nicholas to being more like, what the fuck are you on, man? What do you want? Why are you trying to talk to me all the time? You're rich. Just give her both bracelets. Just do it. Those are the kinds of scenes that he's in. Like, he's not pushing story at this point. He's become super irrelevant. And I know that there's been some light defense of him, and that the writers have written Nicholas poorly. Sure. But you know what? Tyler Christopher also got some poor writing as well, especially at the end of his tenure.
Did the writers write him to have his mouth open?
No, that's the thing. Like, the writers did not write you to not act. And also, what we also know about recasts, or in general, what we know about recasts is that the writers do shift how they write for the character based on the actor and what they know that they can deliver. And so I also feel like a lot of the writing is so meh, because what can Marcus actually deliver? And so he just feels like Nicholas should be so central in the storyline, and is technically, but what we actually see him moving on screen, we see Marcus moving on screen with his performance or lack thereof, does not match where Nicholas should be. And where Nicholas is actually written as driving a lot of story. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the tree lighting was painful in some ways because everyone was so good. But then we see, like, Marcus just kind of like standing there with nothing to do. Because why would you give him anything to do?
Why would you give it? Why?
And so I would like to see less of him, and I would like to maybe see him join Lulu and Camp Coma, like, until they can get a recast going. Like, I got lots of ideas about how we could see less Marcus, because it's not even that I don't want to see Nicholas. I just don't want to see Marcus.
Yeah. You know, something that you said to me, like, just really struck, because I do think that Nicholas has, like, suffered from some bad writing. And that doesn't, I mean, you can have unlikable people give, like, good performances. So, like, we just binged Succession. All of those people are terrible. Every last one of them. And they all can act. Like, so there wasn't, like, there's a way that you can say I'm not rooting for you. Because that's how Nicholas was like written out. Nicholas was pretty unlikable when it was Tyler Christopher, before he was like presumed dead by that like super ficalist. I don't know what that was. That guy, like, I know I don't like Marcus Coloma, but I don't like that guy either.
Yeah, he was bad.
He was bad. But like he was like written out to be super unlikable, because even then it was like, he supposedly like saved Ava. And then it was like, oh well, he died a hero. And then he came back to being this. And he just has no reaction. So there are ways that the scene where he was like took Spencer's phone on the dock, Nicholas Chavez gave him so much and he got nothing back. The scene at the gallery with Ava and Trina, when Spencer was like, I don't want to be a cat's eye anymore. He just stood there, like there was no like hurt on his face. There was no conflict. There was nothing. Right. It was that dumbass look. And even Ava gave more. Like, this is a pivotal scene. This is pivotal in the relationship that you have with your child, who used to be your whole world. Like, go back and watch the scenes where Spencer like got burned at the fire. Thanks, Cam. Like sweet, simple Cam, even when you were a baby. No, I like Cameron. And so like go back and watch that, and like watch Tyler Christopher like get torn up by thinking something's gonna happen to his son, and then fast forward to him like just with no emotion saying that Spencer was like dead to him. That's not just no. Yeah. Anyway, I can go on about Marcus Coloma forever, so I'll stop.
I mean, the thing about it is I'm definitely sick of the writers saying that he'll think about whether or not he wants to forgive his own son. That is horrible. You need it's Chris, and there was an opportunity. It was Christmas. That's the time you're supposed to forgive and embrace your family and do all the good, warm and gooey love stuff. And he's like, I'll think about it. I mean, if you don't even think about it, just be like, if you were good, maybe, and this is the writer's fault, but it's also Marcus's fault, just be like, no, or be real, be like, I'll think about it, but yeah, obviously I'm not going to think about it, or something like that. He can play it off, but it's just like, it was, and I felt bad for Spencer. Yeah. And I feel bad, I just feel bad. Yeah, I do want to see less of that. I think he needs to pick which side. And it was funny because Laura, I actually wanted to see more of Laura being pissed off at Nicholas. I feel like she was like, okay, so mistakes happen. Now's the time. You can forgive. I wanted her to be pissed off at his actions and how that had led to what were happening today. And he was like, oh, she was like, okay, you're secure in your relationship with Ava now. Try to devote a little bit more time to Spencer. No, she needed to have that anger that she had for him before at the idea of him accusing Spencer. She still needed to be angry. She still has every right to be angry at him, even if Spencer actually did do it, because he's the reason why Spencer did it. And that needs to be beaten to his head. And so it's like, yeah, I wanted Laura to be more angry, but it doesn't matter. I still love Laura. But but that's what I was hoping for. That's one of the scenes that I was really hoping for, her to get it in on Nicholas and yell at him and have that angry face and and just go in, and she didn't do that. So I was a little disappointed in that, but it's okay, because
my child
because it would have been a waste of energy on Nicholas.
Yes,
he probably wouldn't have done anything back.
My child Spencer has never done anything wrong in his life. I am a Spencer apologist. He's done nothing wrong here. And I'll say that, like, I think that there's two things that are like happening, right? Like, there's the stuff on the page, right, and then there's like the stuff that he's acting. Right. And so like it kind of makes sense for Laura to be like, damn, I kind of was a little fucked up to Nicholas growing up, so maybe I can chill out on the judging because I wasn't the best of moms. And so like there's not a lot that they can do about that. But there is something that you can do when you're like disowning a child that you're supposed to love as an actor that can make it like, damn, this is hard for him. Right? Like, you don't look like it is hard for you to walk away from your child. When, like, at the end of the conversation with Trina and him and Esme, like, he just like walked off. There was nothing. There was no hurt across his face. It was truly nothing. And that's the stuff that's not on the page that he can do. But he just, he just doesn't have the range to do. And I think that if he had the range to do it, then we could see a story that leads us closer to reconciliation. But how are they going to play a reconcile story with him?
How is he supposed to do anything that's compelling enough to warrant reconciliation? Because that's the other piece, is that it's like, well, what about what Nicholas needs to do to get Spencer to forgive him? And oh God, I don't know. There's just fun with him, because the actor's job, one of the many aspects of an actor's job, is to fill in what's not on the page. Right? Like a character is a co-creation between actors, writers, directors, like costume people, makeup people, like everyone on the set. But there's an intimacy that you as the actor have with your character that nobody else has, that you understand. You take the time to understand what motivates your character. How do they react to things? How do they display conflict? Like, how do you in your own mind and your understanding of this character, like, bridge that dissonance where you actually, like, how do I make this character, if not likable, like worthy of empathy? How do I convey what's not on the page? And he not only doesn't have the range for it, he doesn't have range or deep understanding of his character. I've thought more about his character than he has.
And also, y'all, people be tagging us in these videos of him singing, and I'm just trying to be a better person going into next year, okay? Like, I can't watch videos of this man singing. Please, I'm trying to be better. I gotta sage my house after I say everything I have to say about him. It's a lot.
What I will say is that Tracey was playing one of the videos, and I had no idea what she was listening to. And I just peek my head up from the couch and I go, what the hell are you listening to? This is awful. I didn't even know it was Marcus.
It was, but I also want to say something about recast, because Nina is a recast. And I do think that there are things, I think Nina is good. She's been very good at making me hate her. So I don't want to take anything away from Cynthia Watros. Like, I think she's a good actress. And to Sandra's point, like, there are things that I don't think that they would have written for Michelle Stratford's character, like her Nina, that they write for Cynthia's. So like that whispering around town shit, redhead Nina ain't whispering to nobody. And I actually think I probably would have liked the storyline more, because I think they would have written Michelle Stratford's Nina to be like, yeah, I did that shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, even when they had her drop off the gift to Sunny's house for Wiley, I'm like, girl, I see you. Because why you don't live at Sunny's house?
He sure
right?
don't.
Like, Wiley lives at the Quartermain's house.
Why?
So if you really wanted to drop some shit off to Wiley, you'd have dropped it off over there. And so if Nina would have stood in that shit and been like, I want Carly to be mad about it, I'd be like, you know what, I respect that shit. Like that is like the difference. And so, but it does not make Cynthia Watros a bad actress. It does not make her a bad recast. It is that, to Sandra's point, you write different things for different actresses. And so Cynthia's character is like written to be like, Cynthia's Nina is written to have more nuance than Michelle Stratford's Nina, who was like, nah, I'm about to tell Aiden, or tell Charlotte to bully Aiden. I'm about to get Willow fired from her fucking job.
Yeah, Cynthia Watros is definitely a more passive aggressive Nina than Michelle. Definitely.
But she has reaction. And she don't just
Yeah,
sit there
she
with her mouth
definitely has
open.
a reaction. Yeah.
Yes.
We totally believe her to be in love with Sunny and trying to defend herself and also tired of being scapegoated. I totally believe all of it.
And I believe Sunny to be in love with her.
Yeah. And Cynthia Watros has hella range.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's never any question about her range. She's got it.
Boom. Well, we're not doing a deep dive, but do want, and we can continue to have some of this conversation and this story, but I would love to hear what do y'all think were like top storylines of the year, and then like MVP, like characters or performances. Like, who was your MVP for the year?
I kind of don't want to say because I want to give it to you because the person in the story I'm going to pick is something that you're going to say. And since your favorite.
No, say it.
Okay, basically my stop storyline is Spencer coming back in town, stalking Ava, and disowning his dad, falling in love with Trina. All of that is my favorite.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. He was a find. Like, I was like nervous about a recast of Spencer when I heard it was going to happen, because I think something that happened on like preteen scene. So like that Cam, Spencer, Emma, like those kids have more drama than like some adults have now. And Spencer was like, that relationship that he had with Tyler Christopher, like that Nicholas Spencer relationship was like such a cornerstone. Like I'll go back and watch some of those videos, and just like watching Tyler's Nicholas just be like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? Like, it was just like so funny and so endearing. And so a recast of Spencer could have gone so wrong. So I'm really happy it didn't. And I'm able to like continue caring for my child.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I chose the stalker storyline for me for top storyline of the year, which is also, Spencer's return. But I was just thinking about, I like knew exactly the moment when I saw that this is what we were doing. I was like, oh, it's the stalker storyline. And then I was like, hold on, let's assess. Why is it the stalker storyline? What were all the storylines going on this year? And like, why is this the one that keeps grabbing my attention? And like, one of the things I really love about it is that it's like the only storyline that's a true multi-generational storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have grandparents, like Laura, Victor, all of these folks, plus, Nicholas and Ava, and then the kids. And it's the only storyline that really does that effectively. I think the kids have been part of other storylines, but not like fully integrated. And I think Jocelyn especially is in the most kind of adults, or has been in the most scenes with adults in a lot of ways, but she's never driving the story. She's always kind of like propping Carly. And so I really love that the kids are both like driving storyline here, and also the adults are like really deeply impacted and really deeply involved. Really spiced up the teen scene. I mean, we've talked about this at length. It was so needed, because these are actually like the quality of the relationships between Trina, Cam, and Joss. I think were actually better than a lot of the other teen scenes, because we had so much time of just them being like about each other and developing those relationships, but with not a lot of drama. And so it's like building off of that, the connection between those three actors, and then bringing in this new energy of Spencer and Esme was just what the doctor ordered. Plus, on top of that, rebuilding the Cassadine family. And so it had the most momentum also of any storyline this year, and payoff. Did any other story have payoff? Like, Peter's still alive. Carly still has not found out about, I mean, obviously that's probably going to happen this week, but it's like there's so much that hasn't moved. And I actually, as much as Sprina fans have also complained about the pacing of Sprina, I think they also have gotten the best pacing out of any couple on the show. And this storyline, like, you know, we like Spencer arrived after like a few months of stalking, right? And we all kind of knew or suspected that Spencer was the stalker, or at least a lot of us did. But like actually getting to see him in action, seeing him meet Trina, and the whole trajectory towards confession and everything that's, you know, the arrest, all of that, like things have been moving both from a plot point, but also a character standpoint. There's actually been character development.
Imagine.
A main character in a storyline. People are impacted and like have consequences and change. So I had my instinct, and then I was like, I'm gonna go back and justify it with data. Classic me. So I think for me, the MVP character and performance would be Nicholas Chavez. He's done so much. He's only been on the show for 5 months, and he's delivered so many high stakes performances. I mean, on soap operas, it's very like everyone misses beats. All soap opera actors miss beats because there's just too many beats happening too fast all the time at the rate that they're working right now. But he rarely misses them, and he doesn't miss the important ones. Right. And so I think given how much weight he's pulled on such a short amount of time, how much he's developed both the character and himself as an actor, you know, I don't want to just give it to my faves, but I just gonna have to give it to my faves here. It's Nicholas Chavez. It just feels easy.
When your faves are carrying it, like you can, you know, they are the ones who are performing. On the opposite, not the opposite, but like for me, I said my performer of the year was Avery. Because one, Nicholas is Nicholas and he like kills it every time. But there's like a subtlety to Avery that I really appreciate in like her presence. It is that the teens have actually been through so much for them to have been written so bland. Like if you think about it, like they have been through like death of friends, like 2 like really major people in their age group, in their friend group have died. They have been kidnapped. They like, you know what I'm saying? Like they've been through so much to have been so bland. And so to, like the minute Avery or the minute like Spencer and Esme showed up, it automatically spiced them up a little bit. And there are times when I almost forget Avery, like Esme's crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because she does go back and forth between this like, I'm just a teenage girl, I'm just whatever. And then some shit happens, like her watching Spencer and Trina hold hands, and I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, that's right.
That's not good.
I forgot. You're not, you know, you are really about to like turn it up. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do next year and turn it up. Because, you know, we're obviously headed towards like Spencer and Trina being a couple. I think anytime that Spencer spends in Camp Prison, he's going to actually see how crazy Esme is, like the attachment to Ryan. Like we actually haven't gotten a chance to see Esme at her internship. And so Spencer will see that up close and personal, and he'll be kind of at her mercy for 30 days. And so I'm really like looking forward to seeing what that is. But to have a character come in and be someone who was like, your whole kind of motivation is to be an obstacle for a couple that so many people want to see happen. And then for the people who are like rooting for this couple to also be rooting for you as an actress, I think is just a lot for somebody that young to carry, and she's carried it very well.
I totally agree about Avery. I mean, she even makes other people more interesting outside of just the teens. Like her one interaction with Michael and Willow was the hilarious thing I've ever seen, and they didn't say one word, but it was just like, I will use that GIF over and over. I made it myself. I will use it over and over because that was like the biggest worst diss ever. And she has the best lines, you know, minding your business is free, all that good, you know. how others react to her, like how Sunny reacts to her, how Ava reacts to her, all of that. It's great, and she's very interesting and very compelling, and people love to hate her. That's what good acting is. And for those fans who are so upset at other people calling Esme other names, it's because she's such a good actor that she's able to elicit feelings from people. And it's not an insult. It's actually just part of fandom. And you need to get over yourself. So it's just like, really, because it's crazy. I mean, the fact that people love to hate her so much is really a testament to her skill as an actress. So kudos to Avery. My other runner up would be actually Jeannie Francis, which is a surprise to me because I didn't actually like her character, Laura, for a long time. I think Jonathan Jackson actually made me hate her for a period. But Jeannie just blows it out of the box. I mean, loved her interaction, her dealing with Cyrus, loss of her daughter Lulu, being stalked, all this good stuff. I mean, she had great material and she pulled it off. And so love her being back, love her being in the mix with the Cassadines and trying to deal with all of that, as well as being a mayor, all of that. It's amazing. And so I definitely give her the props. But she's a veteran, so it's almost natural to give it to her, but then not all the other veterans are getting that props. Like, I don't necessarily want to give it to Maurice Bernard, even though his storyline's being propped up all over the place. I still think Jeannie pulled off more of a performance than he did. And Carly, Laura Wright, awesome playing Carly, but again, it just didn't seem that much of a stretch or to deal with how she was dealing with stuff. So yeah, for me, it would definitely be those three: Nicholas, Avery, and Jeannie.
Yeah. I want to give honorable mentions also to Finola Hughes and Patrick Stewart.
Definitely.
They did the most with the absolute least. And I almost, like, if they had been given a better storyline, I would have given it to them because they're both so good. But their storyline was trash, and like just being mixed up with Peter. The only thing that I'm grateful for in this storyline was that finally they're not having to prop him up anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, and that they're still constantly being fooled by him somehow, but I think that they deserve an honorable mention for doing the absolute just stunning work building up the romance between Valentine and Anna and the friendship, and capturing our hearts and our attention through one of the worst GH storylines of all time.
Truly. I mean, and it shows how much they care about these characters and they care about this relationship building. They want to put out good performances for the audience, and that really shows through the work. And I think that also shows, and I can't give it like the storyline because I think the storyline was awful, but I think Johnny and Sophia, like, working with what they had was, I mean, just phenomenal. I saw Sophia posted this thing with her baby and saying, like, after playing this, she would go home every day and like actually hold her baby because it's such a hard storyline. And what I hope that we don't see again is like doing something like that to people who haven't been invested in. They just weren't invested in as a couple. They weren't invested in, and I think they deserve to be invested as a couple. They are both good actors. They are both in the age range that we actually need. There's no reason that I should be seeing fun and flirty between Martin and Lucy, and I can't see fun and flirty between the 20s and 30-somethings. Like, it's just all angst, which I love some angst, but it also needs to be balanced with something that's like fun. Even with like Chase and Brooklyn, and now I'm getting into free for all hot takes, we can move into that. Like, they are not allowed to be fun because they've bogged all these 20s and 30-somethings down with babies. So people either have babies or they're grieving babies. And there's not an ability to like be kind of what we saw when like we had like Maxie and Lulu like working at was it Deception then, or what were they work? Crimson. Like when we had that, when we were able to like see people just like go on adventures and leave blow caution to the wind because they didn't have a lot of responsibilities, and they bogged all these 20 and 30 somethings down with so much responsibility that we haven't been able to see that. And so to be able to see Sophia and Johnny like churn out those performances, I'm hoping that we actually do get to see them in like good storyline next year. I mean, I know it's going to be hard and we'll have to see some grief or whatever, but I hope that they get some front burner work because they deserve it.
Yeah. I will say with the Chillin, since we're moving into the hot takes, like they really bungled this trope that should make Chillin work, which is like bad girl, good boy.
Yeah.
Some like Papa don't preach shit. I don't know. But like they should like that could have been interesting. Like I have been wanting to see Chase mix it up with someone who wasn't such a good girl, which is like one of the reasons why like you have already named it, Tracey, like all of Willow's pairings seem like people that you would meet at church. And like Chillo was like the pairing, it was like the couple that you meet at church that you're like, oh, I'm actually surprised you guys actually seem kind of fun-ish. Versus Millo, who is like, that's the couple that you meet at church that you're like, I don't actually want to know what's happening behind closed doors. There's a weird energy there. I'm like, are you blink twice, Willow? Are you okay? But I by saddling them in this baby storyline with Bailey, it actually like, it's more of that, Brooklyn, who are you? Are you Tracey Quartermain or are you trying to be Lila? Don't try to be Lila because you're never going to be able to do that. So like, I would like to see Brooklyn embody that actually Tracey Quartermain energy more. And like have that be more of the a conflict between her and Chase. And like that can be hot, right? Like that kind of tension can be really hot in the right hands. And it's like both the writing and also the chemistry between the actors has not delivered what is needed there.
Right. Yeah. Because it's like being written like, now you two like each other, as opposed to and I don't know. I mean, it is not that either of them are like particularly bad actors. It is not that I don't think that they would like be friends. I believe a friendship between them, but there's not like the heat to your point of that trope. And now they're trying to play Brooklyn with this like, oh, I'm gonna miss Bailey. Oh, like is Brooklyn about to go crazy and kidnap Bailey? I'd be into that. Like, it just is not soapy and not fun, and that is actually what we should be seeing from them. And like the whole Chase is a cop who arrested me, I mean, I'm never going to be into that. Like into that, like, I kink shame, and if that's your kink, I'm shaming. And so
well, I was thinking about one of the times where they're trying to make Chaylin seem more sexy, like the flashback fantasy. It only reminded me of how lame the original scene was. It didn't actually make me think that it was all, oh, she's having sexy time feelings. No, that's not how I took it. I was like, that scene again, or it wasn't, and so I see that they're trying to do it again. It looks like in the previews, like, is this hot enough for you? I'm like, it wasn't hot to begin with. Stop it. Move on. Try another avenue, because it wasn't working on that. And so, yeah, it's almost like it's too little too late. I almost feel flattered that they're listening to me, but it's too little. It's too late. Like they need to do something else outside of the whole steam room thing. Like find something else, because it wasn't working.
Try a different avenue, a different couple.
My crack ship is Chase and Portia.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about.
I want it. Because you know what? Chase will never be the same after that. I guarantee it. He's never going to be able to go back to Millo after that.
Millo. He's never going back to Millo, not Willow, but Millo. I see what you did there.
Woo! Freudian slip if I have ever made one. I stand behind it. He also won't be able to go back to Michael after that either.
Right.
No, Chikel is actually the ship of my heart.
Well, you know, your crack ship and the ship of your heart could potentially be at odds. That'd be one hell of a love triangle, though.
Funny.
I mean, they're doing it on days, right? Like, isn't there a couple where like this is like our segment for next year? Things that we know about other soaps that we don't watch. So isn't there like a love triangle between a sister and a brother and a something?
Yeah, it's Allie, Johnny, and Chanel. Yeah, a little bisexual twins, half siblings love triangle. Because they're both twins, and you know, Johnny and Allie are both twins and half siblings. So as you do, you know.
Hot take question. What did you guys think about Shady Daddy and Epiphany? I was like,
Sandra wants them to perform at the nurses' ball together next year.
That's fine. He can perform, but I was like, don't be flirting with Epiphany. Hell no, you still need to explain your presence on canvas in the first place. So I was just like, I was not having it. I mean, yeah, that was great that they could play a song together for Christmas, but no, unless she gets him to be honest and be real, I don't want to see it.
No.
I left him out the recap, so that's how I feel.
Tracey is a liar. The Milo and Chalin fans are correct. I never said that. She is slandering me.
What?
Because I, in fact, hated it. And I need that to be perfectly clear. I hated it.
When I said that Sandra wants them to perform at the nurses' ball together, Sandra said I was slandering them.
Absolutely not. I will not take the slander against my character.
I was like, Epiphany deserves better.
Yes. Epiphany can sing "You Are Not Alone" with the flute in the background. With
clarinet. He plays clarinet.
Clarinet with those hands that Stella remembers.
Those hands.
No, it would be an interesting friendship, though.
Hot Daddy and Epiphany?
No, nothing. Oh. Stella and Phyllis.
Oh, yes. They got to get Phyllis around some Black people. I am tired. Tired of these white people coming to her with nonsense. Tired. And I'm just like I'm like, Phyllis being a shipper. Oh, P.S. Speaking of shippers, this is totally different. Trina was shipping Liz and Drew. I was like, Trina's a shipper. And I liked it. I ship it too, actually.
She was like, get it, Cam's mom. Get it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
They were serving this Hallmark holiday Christmas movie realness, and I liked it.
Yeah. I liked it.
But I'm going to stay out of it because I don't want to be part of these Drew Dick wars.
Oh. Absolutely not interested in that. I did like the Cam and Drew scene was very sweet, and it was like a good someone's paying attention to history. Like Cam, like Drew was one of Cam's many dads, and that's no shade. He's just had a lot of dads.
He has.
It is a little shade.
Yeah, because
Lucky. Why are you so trash, Lucky?
That's right, because Lucky, like the justification for Lucky continuing to be a deadbeat was like, oh well, Jason/Drew will raise my kids instead. Okay, whatever.
Well, that was in my hot takes. The other hot take I had was why was Lucy, when she sat in Martin's lap and she thought it was Kevin, girl, what did you think was going to happen? Did you really think you would sit in Kevin's lap like that and he was going to let it happen? While Laura was in time period, but definitely while Laura's there.
Right. That was hilarious.
Kevin would have stood up.
Right. Was like, what are you doing?
He would have just tumbled off his lap. He would have been like, get out of here. It's another reason why I'm glad they're doing the Lucy and Martin thing, because I'm like, I need you to give Lucy something else to do besides moon over Kevin. It's been years since he's been married to Laura. Like, it's not, I love you, Lucy, but you think you're going to bring up Kevlar? Please.
Sorry,
Ain't
baby girl. It's not happening. It's just not happening. The other thing I really loved, I mean, this is always, I'll always talk about Jenny Francis, how much I love her. The scenes with her and Nicholas Chavez, like as Spencer and Laura, I was like, thank you. Someone is here taking care of my child. Someone loves him. Because just like her like having her hands on his face, like him being like, I know I disappointed you, and her being like, I get it. Everybody's like, oh, Spencer needs to like take some accountability. I'm like, we got a canvas full of people who don't take any accountability. Don't put accountability on my child. He's never done anything wrong in his life.
Well, he's the only character who's actually made any attempts for accountability. Right. I mean, compared to everyone else, I think he's doing great. My child has never done anything wrong, but yet at the same time, he's being accountable. No, obviously he's done wrong things to Trina, but that's the only thing that I care about.
The only thing. Because the other thing, we've had to sit through so much exposition this year. Like, and I think that's why it was so hard for us to find a storyline. I was like, okay, so the storylines this year were like Nixon falls and like all that fallout. Then it was the stalker and all that fallout. Like there just weren't like good storylines that happened. And so we didn't get a chance, and I think people who are newer viewers or who like forgot what happened, we didn't get a real chance to like revisit exactly what Ava did and exactly what Nicholas did to like set up for this story. Like there should have been more. I mean, I think that we saw a little bit of it, but we've had so much exposition everywhere else. I think that we could have benefited, especially because Spencer came in as a recast, and like hearing exactly what has happened in the past between everybody. That like Ava was actually an adult that Spencer trusted and it told him that she was gonna like help him take down Valentine and didn't. And so that caused a bitterness that created him having to go to boarding school. That Nicholas like said, oh yeah, fuck her, we about to take her down together, and then was like, just kidding. So like these things didn't come out of nowhere. They didn't happen in a vacuum. And so we've had to sit through so much exposition of like Nixon Falls and Peter and all this, that like to not have the exposition of that like felt like a miss for me.
Yeah. It would have been really helpful to hear about like they make it seem as if like Ava and Spencer were like strangers before the conflict between him and Ava. It's like, no, he wasn't she was a trusted adult who came into his life after his father died at a very like vulnerable, traumatic moment, and then completely failed him and betrayed him. Now, do I want my child running out stalking people? No. But, he's going to jail now. Are you all happy? And that was the other thing, is that, again, to like harp on Marcus Coloma, you're going to have no reaction to your child going to prison?
Right.
Not even like a little?
Not even like
had more of a reaction. You definitely, Sandra, had more of a reaction.
I had more of a reaction. I was like, hold on a second. You're sending my baby to Camp Prison with Ryan?
Who's not locked in?
Who's not locked in?
Why are they sending him to a mental health prison? That makes
it's a low security prison. It's not.
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental people there.
Yeah, I don't think that because that's where Shady Brook would be, right? Like, so this is like still, that's why Alexis was there, just because it's minimum security. Yeah.
And Ryan is the one that's actually misplaced. He should be at Shady.
Yeah, but Shady Brook is not criminal. I don't remember. I actually don't know.
There is like one for like the quote unquote criminally insane. I think that the justification for having him there is just that he's like such a low security risk.
Oh, because he's locked in.
But clearly he's not locked in.
Right. Clearly. But everyone thinks he is.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, whatever. My child has done nothing wrong.
That's another thing that they could have done. They could have written for Nicholas is that, the trial was kind of off, but we could have had some sort of exposition of saying that Nicholas wrote to the judge and say, hey, can you be a little bit more lenient? None of that happened.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, it was a complete failure, and I can't even talk about Marcus Plum anymore. He doesn't deserve it, but I'm over it.
You don't need to go back on that train
because I can go forever.
We done that. Who I do want to talk about, I want to talk about that Vanna moment, the Fana to Vanna transition. I did.
What a feeling.
First of all, what a reminder that Fana actually was a really great couple. Like I really, it just made me remember, I was like, oh, I really liked their chemistry. I really liked the dynamic between the two of them. I was sad when it ended, but then I moved on very quickly because I love Vanna so much. But it was also just a good reminder that like Michael Easton can bring it. He can bring it. It's not, I feel like it's being framed like he is the issue between him and Elizabeth, like he's the person who's not pulling his weight. And I think we could really just say that they're both great. They've both had chemistry, like great chemistry with multiple pairings, and they do not have chemistry with each other. But it's not because Michael Easton is a dud.
Oh no.
Like, I think that scene was enough. He lit up. He was completely lit up with Finola. I mean, who would it be? But he's also been great with multiple actresses. So I liked seeing them together. I actually did like Anna, like kind of propping him and Liz, if only because I do think it's the kind of thing that Anna would do as a former partner. Like she would want her her old boo to be happy with someone who wasn't, regardless of who it was with, especially since she's so clearly moved on. And I appreciate
you seem like you moved on.
Yes, like Finn was like, you look pretty glowy. Seems like you moved on. So I like that. And I liked that and I think it's something similar to the shift that we're also seeing in Sprina. Like we're getting to see more of Anna's point of view and her own kind of like, oh, I do like Valentine. Like, how do I do have feelings for him. How do I navigate this? So it was nice to have that little moment where she like hesitated. She ran into Valentine and Charlotte and then had to kind of decide, like, do I just make the move and say like, no, I am going to spend this like Christmas moment with you all. So I loved how quick Valentine pulled that chair out. You want to have tea with us?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay, let's do this. So I want to see more. I miss them. I want to see so much more of them in the new year. So I'm very curious about what their story will be.
Yeah. I have a few things. And then if y'all have things, we can wrap up for predictions. I'm excited to hear your predictions. I don't understand the Charlotte recast. I really liked the old Charlotte. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do with her, because for me, the only thing that makes sense for a direction for Charlotte is like baby Helena, and that's not what this recast is giving us. I know it was like a very short scene, and so I will, and then like the scene with Anna, but I will see what happens. But I really thought the other Charlotte gave big baby Helena energy.
And I don't know if this actress that we saw is the actual recast, because I thought it was like Anna, I think her name is Ava Cochler. She's a Disney actress, so I know who she is, and I think she could probably give a good performance, but it wasn't her that we saw this week, so I was a little like, who is this girl? So I don't know, maybe they will bring Ava later. But because I saw, the rumor when the guy was like, Scarlett was recast, they showed another actress and it was Ava and it wasn't this girl. So I was just like,
well, I'll keep my eye on that and ask you about it, because I don't know anything about any of them.
Yeah.
But that actress just kind of wasn't giving me that energy. She was fine. I'm obviously never gonna bad about a kid, but I was looking for like baby Helena energy, and that's not what I was getting.
Yeah. especially when she was played Mean Girl previously with Michelle. So
yes. I'm looking at my little notes that I wrote instead of put on my computer, which is why I'm looking away. I want to defend two people. I want to piggyback on the Michael Easton thing. Stop with the Michael Easton slander. Let's just be really clear. That man has like carried pairings across ABC soaps. He is not, to your point, a dud. Him not being good with Elizabeth, I don't understand like why that like translates to slandering Michael Easton as a person.
right.
It's just not a good look, y'all. Like, it's just not a good look.
Like, he hasn't given his best performances with Elizabeth, and also she has not given her best either. Like, I'm like, Becky, I know I've seen you do so much better. And I'm not even saying that either of them are being bad. Just like,
right.
You don't got it.
Right. I mean, I remember even like, this is like way pre Elizabeth and Nicholas. The first time I saw Elizabeth and Nicholas that I was like, was during was during the train crash, actually. We did that deep dive and I was like, I saw them and I was like, what's going on here? Because this could be cute. I mean, not cute, a mess, but actually really good. So like Becky Hertz like has chemistry with people. They don't have chemistry together. And I don't think that that's all Michael Easton's fault. And I definitely don't care what people say about the character of Fana, because I think I'm gonna leave him, but like the actual Michael Easton slander, I'm like, friends, what are we doing? And then also like the kind of Carly, like, so I think that anytime Carly shows up on screen, people are going to be annoyed just because she has been so overused. I actually think that for the past like 2 weeks specifically, we've seen like a better balance. I think having Laura there, and like actually seeing Sabrina, actually being able to see Fana and Vanna, like provided a little bit of a balance. But the idea, people were like, why is she pretending like she cares about Sasha? And I'm like, I just need to go back and like check my history, because Carly's always liked Sasha. She had some actually warned Michael against Sasha when Sasha did Nina wrong. Mm-hmm. Like that was like the first time she actually had anything bad to say about Sasha. Sunny too. But then after that, especially when they like she knew what they did for Wiley, she specifically checked in with Sasha, made sure she was okay throughout the process. When Sasha overdosed, Carly cared and was like around and there.
She was the first one to point out that she was doing drugs.
Right. Like
first
Sasha and Carly have always, we haven't seen everything on camera, or on screen, like whatever, but they've always had like a bond. Mm-hmm. Sasha was like at her bachelorette party. So it is not far-fetched for me that Carly would care about Sasha and like embrace her as family. In the same way, it's not far-fetched that she embraces Brando as family. Brando saved her life, and Brando's like was like working for Cyrus to support and help her and Jason when Sonny was dead. So I just think that like there's a thing about people not liking Carly, which completely understand, that like blurs the line of like what actually happens on the show.
I have a hot take that's kind of unrelated to GH.
Oh, okay.
Why does Steve Harvey have a judge show? Why? I don't understand it. And I'm mad. I see that commercial during GH and I'm like, what the hell?
Same.
That it is related. And yes. Same.
Yes.
Why?
People wondering this.
Like, I don't understand. Is it supposed to be comedy or real? I don't get it. So that's
Yes, since we switched from watching GH on Hulu to watching it live, I'm like, what? In general, I'm just like, what about commercials? Because wow, so weird. But like every time the Steve Harvey commercial comes on, I'm like, why? No.
It's Steve Harvey in that damn hospital commercial every time. In that hospital for the kids hospital commercial.
The Shriners.
That was happening when we were like watching Dead Baby Christmas.
I know, that was so, oh my God. It's like,
it was Mm-mm. No, thank you.
I mean, Steve Harvey is great with Family Feud, but let that Steve stay in your lane. You're not a judge. Stop it. I don't get it. So yeah,
That's never let Steve stop him before.
I know.
My God.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. So there you go. ABC.
I have some Spider-Man No Way Home GH parallels, but I'm gonna wait on them in case people haven't seen Spider-Man yet. I'm gonna be nice and kind with my spoilers.
Okay.
So it'll be in the new year.
I can't wait to hear that. I loved No Way Home. It was amazing.
Loved it.
I keep saying that. I don't know if people get it, but
Loved it.
it was amazing.
I got you.
Thank you. You're amazing.
I got you. Any other hot takes before we move into predictions?
Just that scene between Victor and Ava.
Ooh, Viva forever.
Just loved it. Loved every moment of it. Loved seeing Maura on a one-on-one scene with someone who can really deliver. So good. Looking forward to more, even if they don't end up having a romantic entanglement, which I really hope they do, obviously. But because that would be such a waste of chemistry and mess. But I can't wait to see more of them. And also really loved Ava's reaction to Laura coming home. Like, I'm like, I think that you actually, I know you married Nicholas for the money, but did you not also marry Nicholas so that Laura could be your family? Because you love Laura. Like, Laura is your motherfucker. So
yeah, like Laura was there for Ava during one of the worst moments of her life. I think they're going to be bonded for life because of that.
Yeah, and I love that they continue to have her and John Lindstrom interacting as Kevin, and of course looking forward. I just putting big Ava storyline, messy energy in for 2022. She deserves it.
Echoed.
Yeah.
So your predictions are going to be big 2022 predictions. So I'm ready. Give it to us.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's the low-hanging fruit, which is obviously that, R.I.P. Carly and Sunny, right? So we have the pre-trial or whatever happening this week. Willow's about to take the stand. And so it's only a matter of time before Carly finds out about Sona. And so this is me being very generous to the writers. I'm going to just make a lot of generous assumptions. I think that Carly has been holding back and being restrained so that in this moment we get to see scorch earth Caroline Benson. And I don't know, I think both people who like Carly will be very happy to see it, to finally get her to see, get to see her point of view, get to see her really be the Carly that many of us have grown to love and also sometimes hate. But even I think the Carly haters are going to have a lot to work with too, because she is about to go in on y'all's faves. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. And it would be really disappointing if they do continue to play her restrained. I'm going to go ahead and say they won't. And that this has been intentional so that she can have this tension built up and all this built up rage. And I love that for her. I'm glowing just thinking about it.
I can't wait for her hair when that happens. Angry Carly hair, that will be amazing.
Yes. I hope they bring back the curls.
Right.
Bring back the curls. I want to see those curls bouncing all over the place. So mostly what's caught a lot of my attention is I've been wondering a lot about Esme and Victor.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been speculation, of course, that they're working together. I mean, that's been speculation since Victor re-arrived, right? And that we are, we know that Esme has been collaborating with Ryan. We suspect that she also has another collaborator. And I think there are a lot of little hints this week that it's Victor. So whenever Victor was offering the room at the Metro Court to Spencer, Spencer says, I'll have to talk it over with Esme. And Victor says, please do. There's also the fact that Victor seemed to have already heard about Trina, because he says, oh, it's nice to officially meet you. And when everyone finds out that Spencer will be serving 30 days in Spring Ridge, not only is Esme the only person who is absolutely thrilled at the news, like beaming, like glowing the way that I was talking about with Carly going off, she's not remotely surprised by the reveal. I went back and watched a lot of these scenes where I'm like, I'm actually just gonna go watch Esme. What is this bitch up to? And I know Avery Pohl is not throwing anything away, so I know I can watch her at that level. And the reveal for the deal also happens after Spencer doesn't immediately accept being put up at the Metro Court. So it feels like an escalation of like, Victor's trying to control Spencer through this avenue and didn't get an immediate response. So we're going to move to this, like putting him in Spring Ridge. So I'm hoping that we will finally get confirmation. I was hoping that we would get it last week, but I can see now that we're going to get confirmation that Victor and Esme are working together, either like right before Spencer goes to Spring Ridge to like heighten the tension of him going, or like sometime while he's there. So speaking of Spencer going to Spring Ridge, Trina wants to give Spencer the send-off he deserves. What could that possibly mean? So Spencer going to Spring Ridge for 30 days, which God knows how long he'll actually be there in our time, because what is time on GH? But this is another barrier for Sprina. And while that makes me sad and upset that my child is going to be in Spring Ridge for 30 days and he won't be able to stare at Trina as much as he would like, it's also an opportunity to, it's an opportune time to advance their love story. Immediately before he goes. So I think it's very likely that, like, to dial up the angst of him being there might be, if not a first kiss, a near kiss that happens at the cabin right before they're separated again. So we get, I'm hoping lots of flashbacks. If we can get flashbacks for Chalin in the steam room and that awful Finn and Liz kiss, then we can get some Sprina flashbacks while, Spencer's in Spring Ridge. And speaking of him being there, what do Victor and Esme have planned for him? Why? So for Victor, it separates Spencer from the influence of Laura, which is obviously something he very much wants. He doesn't want Nicholas and Spencer also to reunite. So it's just another way to control Spencer. For Esme, it separates Spencer from Trina, which she very much needs, and also his friends, particularly Jocelyn, who, absolutely has Esme's number and called her out for being probably the person who, created the plot for the stalking. And so, but there's got to be a deeper agenda beyond that. So what is it? We also have Ryan at Spring Ridge. So is he trying to get Spencer on his side? Is he trying to use Spencer as bait? Those are things that I'm very, very curious about. Maybe both, probably both, honestly. Those sounds like things Ryan would do. So we know that Esme is working with Ryan. We suspect she's working with Victor. And so it's easy to guess what Ryan and Victor's motivations are. But like, what about Esme? Like, what does she really want? Mm-hmm. Does she have another agenda outside of Ryan's agenda, outside of Victor's agenda? Like, what is her ultimate motivation? And I think Spencer, and I think, you know, you touched on this, Tracey, like Spencer will I think find out about Esme and her, maybe if not what her ultimate motivations are, but that she's not who she says she is, while they're at Spring Ridge together. And I think as an audience, we will get a better sense about what her ultimate motivation is. So as much as I'm like anxious about this Spring Ridge twist, I'm also really excited for the potential to move storyline and bring us into like an actual February sweeps. And of course, in the meantime, Victor will be messing with Laura, will be creating even more tension between Nicholas and Ava. And so I'm looking forward to a more like Cassadine centric 2022, including we get to see like more of like, oh, Alexis will be going to school, which I think is very strange. You have a law degree. Why do you need to go back to school? Anyway, that's fine. And also, yeah, so I'm looking forward to a shift in focus for the Cassadines, for you know, Laura and co. I'm not sure where Valentine and Anna go from here. So I'm actually very curious for Vanna fans if you have any speculation. I'm very curious to see what will happen with the relationship between Valentine and Victor, and how much Victor will actually be able to influence Valentine. And that kind of like, I think we will see definitely a battle for Valentine's soul between Anna and Victor. So those are just some of the things that I've been musing about this week. Any thoughts, reactions, additional wild pieces of speculation from y'all?
I'm wondering if the Trina, or like the Curtis Trina paternity reveal happens when Spencer's in Spring Ridge, and then Trina goes to see him. But I also just don't think that they have laid enough of the groundwork for it. So I am curious. I'm curious as to when that will happen. And I also just think that the writers sometimes, and I'm hoping that as we go into next year, they stop leaving so much stuff on the table. Because as you pointed out, like some of our actors don't leave anything on the table. Like if you want to know what's going on, you can track Avery in the background. You can track Sydney. You can track Nicholas, not the character, the actor, and like kind of like understand like a little bit more of plot. And so I was like saying one of the things, like all of us, everybody was like, why the fuck would Trina go to this like thing with them, like uncoupled? And I think what would have been more interesting for Springa fans, for me, is if she would have been kind of resistant to it. And then when Esme was like, oh, you haven't been, she'd be like, you know what? Actually, I'm not busy and I will be there now. Like those are like the little things I think the writers leave on the floor. And I'm hoping that as they go into next year, we see a little bit less of that, because it feels like they are doing a little bit more work to intersect stories and write ahead. And so I'm hoping that some of that stuff happens next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping in general, a lot of like the weird timing. I feel like a lot of like the weird stuff that happened with the cabin trip, it was left on the table for way too long. Mm-hmm. And it was just like we were having the same conversations about it over and over again. And so like fans were kind of like, why should I want or care about any of this? And now we understand why, right? But it was like, it was just lingering out there. And I think so much of like of why the last couple months were especially bad around timing was the writing off of Jason, and that having to shift gears and like rearrange things around that. So I'm hoping that the combination of that being done with and like wrapping up that storyline, Carson ending, and also just that there being more flexibility around filming. Oh my God, I'm not back at work yet. around filming because everyone's vaxxed now. So I'm hoping that we'll have less of those issues in 2022.
Any wild speculation from you before we close out?
I don't know. They need to make Michael more interesting. Maybe he well, not that I want to see anything bad happen to Brad. Maybe he attempts to murder Brad and goes through a trial and goes back to jail. I don't know. Or, also, I guess I was thinking more of the couples that we'd like to see that aren't together. There was a blog about it. So like to see, Austin and Britt. I just want to see that explored a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking forward to seeing more development of Esme, like you said. And definitely looking forward to seeing Carly just go off on people. I think she might do something explosive and have an affair with somebody. It would be interesting to see who that would be.
Chase.
Oh, yes.
Town Bicycle. Ooh, you try to start shit with the Liz fans. I see.
Sorry, I don't want the smoke.
But wow, yes.
I would love to see Carly hoe it up.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Maybe with Austin.
Sure, why not? I would love to see Laura Wright and Roger Howarth reunited.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people liked it. I mean, that's why they did that whole Franco thing, but maybe
awful.
That was awful, but
it was awful, but they absolutely did it because of the actors.
Yeah, so maybe it'll make Austin more interesting. I don't know. But yeah, I don't have a lot of predictions. I just stuff I would like to see. I would like to see the relationship between Sonny and Spencer be better. I don't know. I think he had a better chemistry with Nicholas Bechdel, and maybe it's because they haven't given Nicholas Chavez and Maurice enough time. But I want that to be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that has to do also Maurice is so charming with small children.
Yeah.
And that was so much of the appeal between I don't see that as much with him and his adult children. So I think that's part of it too.
Right. That's true. And I am just ready for them. I think that the whole idea that he used Avery, let's that was my accident. Get over here. Get out of here. Yeah. Ava, you use Mike when he was fucking it's just let's let some bygones be bygones. My child has never done anything wrong his whole life. Let's chill out. Let's just chill out. I'm also interested and ready to see Carly or Sonny versus his family, because that's part of what's going to happen with the storyline. Yeah. And people I want them to bring back and actually have a regular presence in a storyline. Because I've said this many times before, and I will say it again, that it is not that the cast is inflated. It's not that it's too many people. It is that they're not used correctly.
Right.
And so I want to see Molly and TJ come back, hopefully break up, and then maybe get back together. They've just been together too long. Yeah. And TJ's very handsome. He is very relevant to this Ashford storyline. So I want to see that. I want to see Lydia Look and Selena Wu actually get real story, and to have Brad there. I think Brad has proven that he is central to the story with Britt, and that friendship is really good. And so yeah, I want to see them. I want to see him back on screen. And just in general, I want us to instead of having 5 days of Carly, let's have 2 or 3, and then we can fit Christina and Molly and the other people who we really want to see on screen.
Yep. Love it.
Well, y'all, this has been episode Sweet 16.
Woohoo!
The last one of 2021. Does anyone want to predict that 2022 will be your year? I'm not
No.
prepared to make that prediction.
No, I'm not ready.
Yeah. I'm turning a pivotal age and we'll see.
You know, I gotta say, get vaxxed, get boosted, you know, do your thing out there, people.
All that. I got boosted on Wednesday. So I still staying away from people because apparently you can still get it. So, but I ain't trying to die. So
And that's the perfect way to end. I ain't trying to die.
2021. I ain't trying to die.
Unfortunately, that's it. That's it. A happy new year, everyone.
On that note, happy new year.
Happy New Year.
Hope
Don't forget to watch Star Wars.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Bad Batch next week.
Yes.
Not Bad Batch. What's it?
I got you. Boba Fett.
Yeah. Boba Fett.
All right, y'all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye.